Dr. Nessim here from the Premed Consultants, and I want to talk about what a good target MCAT score should be, as this is a question a lot of students ask when my consultation calls. And to be honest, everyone could have a different target score. I personally like to tell students to shoot high, aim for the moon, and if you miss, you may hit the stars. However, you should have somewhat of a realistic target. I mean, you could put a 528 as your target score, no problem, if you want a perfect score, of course, but don't put pressure on yourself. Like, I'll hear students, oh, I'm shooting for a 526. And it's like, well, if you get a 518, I promise you, you're going to be in great shape for getting into medical school. That's a score that can literally let you get into any single medical school. At that point, it goes beyond the MCAT score and all about the other parts of your application. Now, in general, for the average student applying, I would say a 510 is a good starting point to shoot for. Anything above that, and you can definitely get in to MD schools, DO schools. If you're below that, you could, of course, still get in, but you're probably going to be below the median or the mean at most medical schools. So 510 is a pretty good starting point to shoot for. However, you have to know your own capabilities, right? If you were a 3.0 student throughout all of undergrad, and now you're telling me you want to score in the 99th percentile of the MCAT, I'm not saying you can't do it, but you need to think long and hard about what you're going to do differently in your approach to studying that you haven't been doing in undergrad. And if you're a 4.0 student, then you should be shooting for that 514, 516, even higher MCAT score. But also know the MCAT is a beast of a test, and it doesn't always perfectly line up with how you're doing in undergrad. And the reason being, in undergrad, it's very much straight to the science, a lot of your finals exams. What they teach is exactly what you usually get tested on. I know people will say, oh, my professor doesn't test us on what we teach, but for the most part. Now, with the MCAT, it's much more of a critical analysis test as well. And so you need to use your outside knowledge with reading your interpretation at that moment of the passages to be able to get the questions right. And that is a skill that takes practice. And you really can only do that by doing MCAT style questions. And that's why at the Premed Consultants, we have our students doing practice questions from day one of their prep. So if you're interested in an MCAT prep course that has that approach, we couple question-based approach with spaced repetition and active recall, which is basically how most top med students study for their board exams. That's how we have our pre-med study for their MCAT. Well, if you're interested in that, click the link, schedule a call, and we'd be happy to discuss how our MCAT course could be of help to you.